Hello and welcome, my dear friend. You may have noticed something peculiar about your life. While the world hums with small talk and fleeting distractions, you often find yourself in a different space, quieter, deeper, more aware. Loneliness isn't just an occasional visitor. It's something you feel more than most. But not because you're missing something, because you're gaining something. And there are ways to solve it without returning to your old self, which we're going to explore together. Growth does something strange to people. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes what you see. At one point, you may have enjoyed the same conversations as everyone else, laughed at the same jokes, and moved with the same rhythm. But then, something shifted. You started noticing what others ignored. You stopped participating in meaningless gossip, not because you decided to be better, but because it simply felt uninteresting. You began seeing the weight of your words, the power of your choices, and the depth of life itself. And with that awareness came distance. It's not that you don't want connection, it's that surface-level connections no longer feed you. While others skate on the thin ice of casual chatter, you crave the deep waters below. But here's the tricky part. Most people are terrified of depth. They cling to the surface because it's safe, predictable, and easy. You, on the other hand, you're not afraid to dive. Have you ever been in a conversation and suddenly realized you're the only one truly present? While others repeat headlines, you analyze meaning. While they brush past emotions, you sit with them. While they seek entertainment, you seek understanding. And that right there is why loneliness creeps in. Not because you are alone, but because the space you occupy is rare. Growth also changes responsibility. At one point, you might have blamed circumstances, people, or fate for your struggles. But as you evolved, you started seeing a deeper truth. Your life is in your hands, for the most part, of course. The moment that realization took hold, something happened. Complaining became empty. Excuses lost their grip. And suddenly, you couldn't relate to those who still lived in blame. Think about this. How often do you hear people talk about everything that's wrong in their lives, but never take action? How often do they wait for someone else to change their situation? And then there's you. The moment you saw through that illusion, you couldn't unsee it. While others repeat patterns, you break them. While they wait, you move. And while they look outside for answers, you look within. But here's the cost. When you stop blaming, you stop belonging to certain circles. You don't fit into complaint-filled conversations anymore. You don't bond over shared misery. You don't pretend not to see. And when you step out of that collective mindset, you feel it, distance. And let's talk about something even deeper. Growth isn't just about shifting perspectives. It's about shifting energy. Have you ever noticed how certain people drain you? How some conversations leave you feeling empty rather than full? It's because energy carries weight. When you start vibrating at a different level, more aware, more intentional, more awake, you naturally separate from those who remain in old patterns. This is why your presence feels different to people. They sense something in you, even if they can't explain it. Some admire it, some are drawn to it, but others, they feel uneasy. Your presence reflects what they have not yet faced within themselves. It's not something you do, it's something you are. And that, my friend, is both a gift and a challenge. But let's be honest, this path isn't always easy. It can feel isolating when you realize how few people truly see the world the way you do. But here's the thing, you are not alone. You are part of a rare group, one that seeks truth over comfort, depth over distraction, and meaning over mindlessness. And if you've stayed this far, it's because something in you knows this to be true. In fact, Let's do something small but powerful. Comment 111 below, symbol of alignment, if this resonates with you. Not just as a comment, but as a quiet acknowledgement that you are exactly where you need to be. But let's take this even further. Have you ever wondered why, despite this loneliness, you wouldn't trade your awareness for anything? Why, even on the days when the solitude feels heavy, you still wouldn't go back to who you used to be? Because once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you grow, you cannot shrink. And once you taste the depth of life, the surface will never satisfy you again. This is the paradox of transformation. While others may fear losing people, you have learned to fear losing yourself. And so you make the quiet, difficult choice to keep growing, even if it means outgrowing, to keep evolving, even if it means leaving certain spaces behind. But here's where most people misunderstand loneliness. It is not a punishment. It is a passage. It is a sign that you are transitioning from one version of yourself to another. And those transitions, they are never crowded. Think about the most defining moments of your life, the moments of deep reflection, breakthrough, or personal revelation. Were they surrounded by noise, or did they happen in the silence, in the stillness, in the spaces where the world couldn't reach you? You see, the loneliness you feel is not a void, it is a clearing, a space being made for what truly belongs to you. But here's the mistake many make. They try to fill that space too quickly. They reach back toward old friendships, old patterns, old ways of being, just to avoid the discomfort of solitude. But in doing so, they slow their own evolution. You, on the other hand, have learned something rare: to sit with the emptiness and let it transform you. To trust that the space you feel now is not absence, but preparation. That the silence is not punishment, but protection. Because here's the truth: growth does not isolate you forever. It refines who surrounds you. It filters out those who cannot walk the path with you. And yes, for a while, that leaves an in-between space, a space where the old no longer fits, but the new has not yet arrived. But if you can hold steady in that space, something incredible happens. New connections begin to form. People who meet you where you are, not where you used to be. Conversations that don't drain you, but energize you. Relationships where you don't have to shrink, soften, or simplify yourself just to be understood. And most importantly, you start to recognize something profound. The most important connection you will ever have is with yourself. Because let's be honest, how many times have you felt lonely even in a room full of people? How many times have you laughed at things that weren't funny, nodded at things you didn't believe, and engaged in conversations that left you empty? That is not connection, that is avoidance. And yet, how many times have you sat alone, maybe with a book, a thought, or just the stillness of your own presence, and felt a deep, unshakable peace? That, my friend, is connection. Not with others, but with yourself. And the more you nurture that connection, the less loneliness controls you. Because the truth is, you are never truly alone. Every time you choose depth over distraction, every time you hold on to your truth instead of bending for acceptance, you align with something far greater than temporary company. So let's shift the perspective. What if, instead of resisting loneliness, you embraced it? What if you saw it not as something missing, but as something sacred? A sign that you are evolving beyond the ordinary. A sign that you are becoming someone who cannot just fit in anywhere, because you are meant for something greater. And I promise you, as sure as the seasons change, this space you feel now will not last forever. One day you will look around and realize that the loneliness you once feared has been replaced by something far more valuable. Authentic connections, true alignment, and a life that feels deeply, undeniably yours. You, my friend, are not lost. You are just further along than most. Keep going. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.